What's up guys, it's me Jeremy. Kassadin has received some pretty major changes on the public beta environment recently, and I kinda wanted to just go over and give you my thoughts as well as my thoughts on balance changes as a whole. Let's get started. Now for those of you who aren't aware, Kassadin on the PBE has had the range of his ultimate nerfed by 250, lowering it from 700 range to 450 range. Whether or not this change will make it to the live server in patch 5.4 is somewhat unclear, but it does bring up some pretty interesting concepts. Kassadin has received probably a dozen or so nerfs since his release, and honestly is probably in the contention for one of the most nerfed champions of all time. And without a doubt, this is definitely the biggest nerf he has ever had, and likely will ever receive, even beating out the removal of his silence. And it kind of got me thinking about the concept commonly known as Olafing. Olafing historically has been the term given to when Riot completely destroys a champion through a single massive nerf that puts the champion out of viability. Whether or not this nerf has Olafed Kassadin definitely isn't completely clear. I think it has, but it might not be true. Either way, it's clear that this is definitely a massive nerf, in the style of some of the previous Olafing that has taken place. When Riot Olafs a champion, they want that champion to be so unviable that they are no longer played at all. They want the champion to be completely taken out of the game so that they can build it back up again to a more balanced state with buffs slowly over time. And the consistent thing that takes place when a champion is nerfed this way is that the strengths of the champion are completely gutted. Quite often when Riot wants a champion to be nerfed, what they will do is introduce weaknesses and make them much more significant to the champion, and maybe only hurt the strength just a tiny bit. This adds a strong element of player skill into the champion through counterplay, and quite frankly is a fantastic way to balance champions. It's really healthy for the game and keeps things viable in the way that everything always has a counter. When a champion is Olafed, their weaknesses have often already been made more significant. Their counterplay has already been improved, and their strengths have often already been touched at least a tiny amount. Whenever a champion gets Olafed, it has always occurred after a series of more minor nerfs to that champion that after a while proved to be ineffective to their kit. And this is why I think Kassadin has been Olafed with this change, especially if you consider that his win rate right now is already at a pretty low 47%. I mean, his damage isn't terrible, but compared to other AP mids, it's definitely nothing special, and he does get a little bit tanky, but nothing that mid laners can't really handle. He's only really able to succeed now because of his insane mobility. Kassadin is one of, if not the most mobile champion in the game right now, and when you take away that major strength, all of those minor nerfs of lowering his damage, increasing his mana, removing his silence, lowering his tankiness, lowering his damage again, all suddenly become extremely relevant with just one nerf to his major strength. Irrelevant nerfs that took place in the past suddenly become so relevant once you finally take away the strength of a champion. And that is the problem that happens when a champion gets Olafed. You can't just revert all of the previous nerfs that took place. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean Olafing a champion is wrong, just that it creates a really significant complication. And this complication raises the question, is adding counterplay the correct way to nerf a champion? It's definitely the most healthy way, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's the best. Champions get nerfed because they create an unfun or unfair experience for players, which Kassadin can definitely do in his current state. And in the end, I think Olafing happens because a champion has a kit where their strengths are so significant that it's literally impossible to balance the champion without destroying their strengths. However, the true colors of that don't actually show until all of the other minor nerfs take place. When Kassadin had his silence, people thought that was the reason why it was overpowered. Or way back when his damage was really high, they thought maybe it was that. But only until after you nerf everything else does the true actual strength of a champion shine through. And so Olafing happens to these kinds of champions that are really difficult to balance. They're put in a spot where they have to receive minor nerfs repeatedly to find out what the key element is, and after that you can finally Olaf the champion by nerfing that one key element and then build it back up from the ground through buffs or through a rework. And because of that, I honestly think Olafing isn't as bad as people think it is. Anyways, those were just my thoughts. My name is Jeremy, and that's it for my video on the Kassadin changes and Olafing. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button so I can tell, and be sure to check me out over on all the socials, of which you can see on your screen. And if you really enjoyed the video, make sure to subscribe for some more awesome content in the future, or check out some of my other videos on your screen as well. And above all else, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.